What's up, y'all? What is up? Um, um, I need to. Can't wait. I can't wait. Um, Let me do some real quick. This. All right. Um, let me. Let me get it. Let me get it. Get it to like here. Um. Oh my gosh, this is okay. Um. Yeah, man, it's late night, of course, obviously. Um, and I think the big thing, like, I just wanted to just talk about today is like just the importance of consistency. Like, um, I know that it is a lot of streaming going on. It's a lot of, you know, jump into the streaming world. Um, I had to quickly learn a lot of things. Um, and just watching other people just doing what they need to do. It's very fast paced. Obviously, it's a lot of grinding and it's a lot of consistency. Um, a lot of people don't take too many days off. Like, this is a constant, which is a good thing because it's always, people don't realize how much of a sacrifice streaming really is. Like, it's almost like you're letting people into your life, whether it's for 3 hours, 2 minutes, 20 minutes, 3 days. Like, it's a commitment. And I want people to realize, like, it's it's it can definitely be, taxing at some points, but I'm not saying that for myself, but I can see how the grind can get. Um, and I want to say, like, the consistency is important, man. I think obviously, like, for streamers, this is their job, like, and obviously I want this to be my job too, eventually. Um, but I think it's just the fact of, getting to the point of, like, obviously making money from this is the next step. Like, that's the step that I'm trying to reach. Um, it's quite important to, get your feet wet, do what you got to do, and just stay persistent. Because it's not easy. It's not easy. Um, but I think one good thing about me, and I think what is always going to have, God dang, I want y'all to forgive me, y'all. I'm supposed to be leaving. Y'all gonna be seeing a different background. August 3rd. I'm moving to a new spot. I got a better spot. Um, so y'all gonna seeing that. But back to what we was talking about. Um, yeah, man, I think this space is so important. When you're grinding and um, and you're constantly getting after it. Like, I think for me, I'm at a space now where I'm just trying to meet the demands of the expectations I put on myself. Because I really want to turn this, obviously, into something special. Um, and when you can just put your spin to anything that you want to do, like, I know exactly what I'm gonna become within this space. You know, you just gotta believe in yourself at the end of the day. So, but the consistency got to be there. You know, um, but I think too is just I just want to be seen. You know, not from a space of attention seeking. You know, I think like for the longest, I've been always trying to figure out just the best way to market myself. You know, without compromising. You know, you want to have a set of integrity, but still be influential in the space of like not doing gimmicks. Like I know that there is an internet version of me, and then when I go offline, you know, there's Josh Chapman, like for real. So I know that I have, you know, two personas, and you know, that's why I got Velcacy Flyest. Like I think that's like my alter ego, you know, because I believe in being fly. Like I think being fly is just one of the most like loving thing to do to yourself. Like I think a lot of people don't understand that it's more than just putting together clothes. Being fly is just loving your life, understanding who you are, and not trying to fit in. Is being your own authentic self. That's what's fly. Like you can talk about clothes all day till you're blue in the face, but being fly to me is loving who you are and carrying yourself in a way that is inspirational to others, you know. Um, and that's what I just try and do. I just try and be me. I know me, you know. I spent a long time trying to get to know myself, and I guess I'm at this point now where, you know, things that I've learned, things that I've just experienced, I just want to always give, you know. So it's just always just trying to just act, you know. Just I think the most important thing I guess I learned throughout just my time of trying to learn about myself is like you all you have. Like a lot of people don't know like you're all that you have. Like you came into this world by yourself, you leave in this world by yourself. You know, it's the reality, and people don't want to face it. Like we have so many distractions in this world that you can kind of get away from like the realities of the world. You know, like and it's a crazy thing to realize, but it's just like that's just the facts. I mean, you know, I always was a person that was just curious. Like I always just thought, like I always wondered about like just why things were the way that they were. And I think that's why like I'm very informative with the things that I have, and the wisdom that I'm just given every day, um, is because I've always questioned a lot of things, like just in life in general. Like why do these standards have to be this way, you know? And I think that's what ultimately made me me, and made me comfortable in me. You know, a lot of people don't be comfortable with themselves. You know, I think a lot of people don't spend a lot of time with themselves. You have to spend, I'm telling you, you have to spend so much time with yourself that it's almost like it's only you and yourself. Because if you don't spend that time, there's going to be so many challenges that when it's time to need yourself, you won't know what to do. So you have to understand who you are and what you are going to stand for, and what you're willing to, you know, walk away from. Because, you know, a lot of people, because of not knowing themselves, they are willing to do any and everything for this thing that we call fame, or this thing that we call attention, clout. And it gets sad at times, like, you know, like it's never that serious, you know? Like that's why, like I said, like I think what people like Duke Dennis and just others, like, I think what attracts so many of like people of fans is because they're so themselves, you know? They're always themselves. And that's a hard thing to do when you're in the streaming world, because it's like some people believe that having a character online is like the key to having like this like stardom. And I think like, yes, there's a character to play, but if it's synonymous or it's very similar to who you are in real life, like that's the most important thing. You want, I believe, you want to have to me as a streamer, I feel like you want to have the character that you're building as close as the person that you are offline, because you're gonna run into a lot of trouble if you're one way but you're another in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you run into a lot of hypocrisy, and people are hypocrites every day, but you run into even more hypocrisy when you're faking a character so, you know, I would say extreme, like an extreme difference of who you are. Like, that's when it becomes a problem. But I feel like, obviously, like, I can't bring who I am offline to online, no matter how authentic that I can be, because there's just a level of responsibility, you know what I mean, as a person that streams to a lot of people, but also, like, it's just the law of the land. Like, everybody does, as much as people say like we're always being judged, once you put into the public world, you're judged, no matter what. So you lessen it by, I guess, creating just some sort of person that may not be exactly who you are offline. And I think for me is like, I always wanted to like create just a character. And I think like I said, I think my streamer name is always gonna be Josh Chapman, but my alter ego is always gonna be Flyers, like, because I've always felt, not to like put others down, but I always felt like I'm the Flyers. I just felt like that was just something, um, that just made me me. Um, you know, um, because I think Fly is just authentic to the point of, you know, um, it makes others uncomfortable. You know, like, I'm just willing to just be open and honest with people, even if it hurts their feelings. Um, Not because I don't care about their feelings, but I think honesty is the best policy. Like, because once you start lying to people, that's why I think for me, like, I never wanted to be the person that just like the I wouldn't say like class clown, but I never wanted to always be the person that like he knows everybody or he's cool with everybody. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm not cool with everybody, and I never wanted to give that impression. Like, I even tried it and it just didn't feel like me, you know, because one thing about trying to be friends with everybody, there's so many parts of yourself that you have to change, because everybody's not the same. So to, you know um what's the word, um to what is that word, so to like camouflage your personality, you have to adjust and adapt to every person that you come in contact with. and it leaves a room for inauthenticity to come in. So it's like how you are with one person, you got to be different with another person. And there's so many personalities pulling from you that you start to become inauthentic. Like I've seen it, especially going to college, but going to high school. Like I've seen it at every level, and it doesn't change. Like trying to be seen by everybody and trying to be everybody, trying to be liked by everybody. Like I always say, like, you know, honesty is very polarizing. You know, it's not gonna have you liked by everybody. You know, and you know, coming like even when you're on the attempt to be liked by everybody, like there's still a little small percentage of people that don't like you. So why even try to be to that 97% of trying to be liked by everybody, but you could be 100% of truly yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even believe you can even get to 97%. I feel like you can get to, in this world, maybe, I'll say maybe like 48%. I don't even say 48%. I'll say about like, yeah, like 40%. Like, to be liked by like everybody. I think the closest would be like a Michael Jackson. I mean, even though he was extremely polarizing still, you know. Um, um, that's one of the most famous people that ever lived. That's in recorded history. I say the most famous person ever, like we can actually see, you know. When it comes to like Jesus, like it's it's still like biblical and it's written, so you don't necessarily can say like, oh yeah, like I even say like there's Jesus Christ and then there's Michael Jackson. You feel me? Like in terms of most popular person ever, like I those are like the two most famous people ever. Um, but it is what it is, you know. And like I said, it's just it's I like how everything is coming together too. Just everything that I'm building, um, and really being to myself. Like I've never been this to myself in a long time, um, and especially like past 2 days was some really hard days. You know, um, um, you know, my uncle always told me like even friendship, even sometimes family members, like y'all relationship has an expiration date, and you know people that I thought, people that were like Lily's family, it didn't meet that expectation, and that's the crazy thing. Sometimes it's like you can't always really trust people. Like trust is a very, very, very vulnerable action, um, because you're putting yourself out there for people to have the ability to hurt you. And even when they do, you still got to get back up and continue your life. So, I mean, it's all about how you take it. It's all about how you approach things. Um, can never be too down about anything in life. Understand that people are going to be people, you know, um, and you can always grow from it, you know. Um, like I said, I've faced a lot of hard things in my life, and I think just in my 20s is like, I just feel like there's just a period of time that everybody has, um, that really growing stage. And I don't mean genetics or like, puberty, but I mean like mentally. Like, some people have their growing stage at 60 years old. Some people have it at 20, some people have it at 10, you know, because a lot of people grew up really in really bad positions, and those harsh, growing pains ultimately they became successful in their 20s. And you would think like, oh, you're so young to be like, I think there's this level of growth that needs to happen within yourself in order for like situations like that to happen. um it's just everybody's life has a story, and I think that's the beautiful thing about life. Is like everybody has a story to tell, but you got to be able to convey that story, you know because nobody's just looking for like you to just be sorry and people tell your story. Like you have to be able to write your story in a way that attracts the world. And I think that's that's what I do every day, is like try and build that level of myself to one day, um, build that responsibility, and build that just inspiration and influence to like, inspire, because I have been a person that never in a million years will like think that I will become just a person that has just such a wide perspective, like I guess to me, like I was born in a bubble. I was just so ignorant, so blissfully ignorant to a lot of things in the world. And when life happens and tragedy strikes, and that blissful bubble pops, and now you're living the true reality of what life really entails. um, you start to really learn a lot of things about you, about yourself, about the people that you're surrounded by. And when life gets to that point, it's like, okay, what can I do with this? How can I get to this point of resilience, consistency? Because no matter how you live your life, not one person is looking for sympathy. Not one person is going to, you know, give you a handout. You got to work for it. Some people get lucky. That's life. Some people can wake up and pick a number and they won the lottery and whatever. But it's not like that for everybody, you know? So it's a choice you make every day when you wake up. Do I want to keep continuing to live the life that I'm not satisfied with, or do I want to push and extend to the life that I eventually can be content with? I mean, we all are always going to be hungry for more. We're always going to always have dreams. That's just the walk of life. You're never going to be at a point where everything is peaches and cream. Now you can be in a space of enjoyment, and I think a space of gratitude, which I'm always in. But there's always going to be this feeling of, well, what if I do this? And it's not from, well, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it's not from a space of greed, but it's just always pushing that story. How can this story be a lot more interesting? And everybody's life is gonna be everybody's life. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's how you convey it. Do you want your story to, like I said, there's a lot of, that's why they always talk about how there's so many dreams that go to the grave, because for whatever reason, it didn't happen. And, you know, do you want to leave this earth without telling your story or not? I mean, it's, some people don't care. Some people don't care about even telling that story. So, I mean, it's up to you at the end of the day. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to you, you know. But as long as, for me, I think as long as I'm able to wake up and push, I'm okay, I told myself April of 2025 that I will never work for nobody else no more. I can do brand partnerships, I can work with people, but I will never ever get a job. That's for me personally, because of I I just think that I have too much intelligence. It's not a matter of pride. It's not a matter of anything else besides me saying there's a formula that it takes to make money at the end of the day. And however way that you do it, you have to follow suit with whatever you do. And for me, it's like after my last job, I mean, I just felt like that was the end, you know? Like, I really did. Like, I just can't, even when I try to even, like, I'm not gonna lie, I still, like, tried to apply to jobs afterwards, and it just didn't feel right. Like, I just want to take command of my life, you know? Unfortunately, not everybody has that same choice, but it's what you really want to do, and the lengths that you're willing to go. Like, you know, I'm just willing to just really go to the ends of the earth to, like, really push myself and really position myself so that I have a level of freedom when I wake up and I know that um, I run my own time. I'm not rushed by anybody. I may have, you know, schedules and meetings with people, and, obviously it's your responsibility, but I'm not under nobody's time. I'm not employed. Like, I'll say this one thing, like, when I first started this business, like, I think Warren Buffett best said the best way to learn business is to start a business. Like, you can do so much research on it, but you'll never know the true intricacies and the true acquisition of obtaining money until you are actually in the fields. There's no way else to put it. And for me, like, when I've had people call and I've had businesses, reach out to me and say, hey, let's make money together. Like, it's just felt a difference, because I've been on the tail end of the stick where you have an employee, your supervisor telling you, hey, this is what we gotta do, XYZ, I want you to do. Like, it's like you're being told what to do. Like, I just never was a person where it's like, all right, we're hiring you, and you have to do this X. Like, it just never resonated with me. No matter how, you know, uh, how much humility I have with people, like, it just never sat well with me. It's not from a space of ego. It's just a space of just being Josh Chapman. Like, I just, I know when I'm smarter than somebody, and it's like when there's somebody that's not more intelligent, yeah, you've made your position to reach the level that you are. Like, I honestly know that, like, I study the world, and I have a perspective. So like when it gets to that point where people that don't really do anything and have a lot of bullshit, and think that they're better than you because they have a higher position than you, like it makes you feel the type of way. So I think I think I'm just operating in just the way that God wanted me to operate. I can't like I would be lying to myself, you know? And that's why it's like, those people that are willing to compromise and just live a life, which it's not a bad thing to live a life like that. But you have to know you. You know what I mean? Like you have to know what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to deny. And what you're willing to really say no to. Like I have a strong no. That's me. I have a really strong no because I can't always accept a lot of bullshit, man. I can't. And I won't. Because this is my life. This is the life that I gotta live. And this life I gotta accept at the end of the day. No matter how hard it gets. Like, I was a kid at 7 years old, always watching motivational videos. And there was always like this pattern of just everybody's story being synonymous. And it's like all of the stories was like, man, I just didn't give up. I just took the risk. I understand that the risk that the risk is so much greater than the possibility of not taking the risk. And I've always watched those like that was just something about me. Like one thing, if you do know like the real Josh Chapman, like I've been watching like motivational videos and people like Eric Thomas and you know um I think Les Brown, like those early days of like inspiration. Like I watch those videos, like Ray Lewis. Like I watch those videos, so it's like I don't know. Like I'm just like, I mean, I just live like I'm always constantly inspired. Like those were just people that I've just always gave me the boost, and now it's to the point where it's like I don't even have to watch those videos. Every now and then I come back, but then now YouTubers and the people that have made and edit these videos now, they come up with different ways of inspiring. They use movies and they use certain clips and they use the motivational music behind it. Like I love that. Like that's what charged me up every day, and it's just still just a invigorating feeling because it's like my life is always continuing. Like no matter what, it's like when I get off of the internet or when I go to sleep, like I wake up 6 a.m. motivated to just get after this and be like, man, I gotta really do something to really elevate my life because it's hard. Making money is hard. It's the hardest thing. you know but it's even more frustrating when you're a person that likes to figure things out. you know for a person with computer science degree, at the core of computer science is problem solving. It Computer science is the art of problem solving. And I've always, you know ever since like understanding that concept, I got it from my professor, like early, like freshman year, sophomore year. you know um and I've always instilled that into my life. We had to do a lot of coding and all of these things, like, so it was just all of this stuff was just building, for who I am. And I do want to, because I know that it is getting late, but there was just something and I really kind of respected it. Um, on one of Kai's last stream, um, and it was something that I learned just very quickly, just being in the streaming world. Like you can do all of these IRLs, you can do all the girl content, you can do the you know project streams, but if you don't come back to desktop and never touch base, then you're not really trying to build a community. And it is like desktop should always be the core, of your streams. And I think like it's not too many people, and you can see it. Like we can really be honest, that there's not too many people that are really trying to like care about the community that they're building or really inspiring people. Like they're doing it for the money. Let's keep it a stack. Like there's a lot of people that's doing it, and they're good. There's talented personalities that at the end of the day, like it's like, man, I just gotta make this money. Like I'm building a following, and they just like me for me, and I may say these certain things just to get people to like me, but I'm trying to get this money at the end. Like you can see through that, you know. And I think Kai is one of the very few people that not only because he's good at what he does, but he cares at the art of it. That's why when you see the old videos of, or that's why when you see the videos of seven, the 7 months that he was really like trying to learn a lot about himself, like those archive videos, like that was really personal. He really brought people into his life, and people shunned him for it, and it was kind of crazy because it's like, you know, this is the person that really gives his life every day, to make your day a little bit better. And he was really showing people how to really get to that next stage of your life is to always continuously learn. And I think a lot of people miss that. A lot of people are just like, where's the content? Where's the content? And you kind of miss the bar of, or miss the point of like that purpose of him showing that archive parts of his life was to like inspire you guys. The raw footage was to be like, yo, look, for me to get to where I get to, I read every day. I read every 10 minutes. I read for 30 minutes. I show you the behind the scenes of how I think about Vivette, or how I write in my journal. Like those are the small things. A lot of people miss that. But it's cool though, because everybody's not supposed to be Kai Cenat. There's only one Kai Cenat, and I think he's doing the thing, and I think that's why he's inspired by Michael Jackson, because, and it's no glaze, but he's doing what Michael Jackson done for music into streaming. And I think that is like, it's really very applauding, because he's showing that, yo, you can collab with people, you can build your AMPs, or your, whatever, core group, because you can't obviously do it on your own. You might have to have other streamers that motivates you every day to get up. He's not, because he can easily go on and as an individual and just really build like one person that's just an individual streamer and don't have doesn't really collab. I Show Speed is like, he's on a whole nother level, but they're like two giants in this streaming world, because I think Speed just really won it. It's really like two different talents, but their talents are both powerful in their own unique ways. And that's why I think what inspired me to go into streaming was like people like that, that can create this own world, because that's what I learned, into streaming. Like, it's like you're building your own world. Whatever you want people, like, obviously everything that you want intentionally to get portrayed will always follow. But you can create your own world for people to come into. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, the ultimate goal is, obviously, if you know me, I've been doing music for the last 5 years. So it's not to stop music to start this, but I want to converge these two worlds. I want to converge and be like one of the first artists. Like, obviously shout out to DDG for, creating this space of, you can be a streamer and a music artist, like Playboy Max, other people. But now it's like, for me, it's like I want to really be like a groundbreaker, where it's like I started with music, I started with then I moved to streaming, and I converged the two worlds. And it's going to be very, like, intentional. So it's not going to be like, I feel like everybody didn't know how to put the pieces together, but because, you know, the way you can make money in the streaming world, there's going to be a lot of things that I won't have to depend on in the music world, where it gives me a certain leverage, because I love music. I told myself, if I was to win a lottery for $100 billion, or, and nowadays it's at $1 billion or something like that, like, I would literally still continue to do music. I would still make songs. I would still go on the journey of being an artist, because I love what music and the art that it portrayed. Like, I would love to do that, even if I'm already fully financially free, and to the point where I don't have to, do anything for the rest of my life. Like, I would still do music, so that's why I want to use, like, and build, like, this community, because at this point now, like, streaming has become almost mandatory. Like, I've said this once, I said this again. Streamers are the new superstars. Music used to really be the number one takeover. You still had your athletes, but streamers are the new superstar, because they got the most visibility. They're everywhere. They got clippers and clipping everything. Music, you can have one great song, but there's 250,000 songs being uploaded every single day. You know what I mean? So, when when you're barely visible, and that's why I say, like, unless you were already big prior to social media, or like right on the cusp for, like, the 2013, 2014, when you already pretty much have a community, you have the luxury to walk away from social media, because you already built what you need. But for those that's trying to build now, like, and that's why I want to show, like, these two worlds have to come together, streaming and music. They have to come together, or else you're not going to be seen. But I'm different, because I don't believe, like, always putting yourself out there is demystifying myself as an artist. Like I said, you guys will see, like, how I'll bring all of this together. Obviously, everything's not gonna be streaming. I'ma still create my space for the music space, for my art, for my music fan base. Like, I'm still create that space, but it's gonna still be streaming, and I'm just gonna create those worlds where they connect with each other. So, um, but I think it's just special, man. I think it's really special, of just where I'm taking this, and where it's going. So, um, we're getting closer, and I just thank y'all every day, man. You know, um, more to come, man. I think I don't know what's tomorrow, but if I feel like streaming, obviously, I'm a stream. Um, but I want to incorporate more of my life. You know, I haven't moved yet, so there's gonna be some time with fitness. You know, I want to get to the point where I lose this gut. Like, I have a lot of body fat. I'm skinny, but like it's a lot of body fat. So that's just the goals for now. Is like I want to get to where I just start really getting, like, whether it's IRL, you know, like I said, content with girls. Like, I want to do it all, but still, as I said earlier, we still gonna bring it back to desktop. We still gonna do things to help, you know, inspire others. It's not just about me. It's what you can give. You can be great, you still gotta give. But we're gonna sign off on this. I hope everybody is grateful. I hope everybody's life is improving, because everything isn't going to be great. But just work on making your stuff a little bit better. And life's going to turn. Like, I don't got everything together. You know, I got debt. Like, you know. So, but I'm not afraid. You know, I believe in myself, even when all the things are against me. So when you have that belief in yourself, you can always turn it around. So hope y'all are inspired and go after it.